Hey everyone, welcome to 30 Ways to Happy Days. I'm Alani Yvonne from Truly Great Life, and this is way number 5, character strength of perseverance. This is a gigantic character strength, and there's a lot of different ways we could discuss it today, but I'm going to try and just touch on a few things that maybe are not things you've heard before, or maybe just coming at it from a different angle than you've heard about it. But these are things that, as I've mentioned in other recordings, these these are all strengths that are in you. So the things that I'll be sharing, excuse me, are all things that will sound and hopefully resonate as true for you, because these character strengths are all in all of us. The only question is, how aware are we of them? How much do we use them like muscles? Okay, so perseverance, let's start with the definition. Perseverance is like persistence. It's getting the job done. It's getting the work out the door. It's not giving up. It is overcoming obstacles. So that is kind of like a huge, character strength that we all use anytime we're getting a goal done, anytime we're getting a task done. If this is one of your higher character strengths, you probably really enjoy getting things done, and you find it easier to stick with whatever that task is or that goal over the long haul. So the thing about the perseverance strength is it's not just getting the work done, right? Or achieving whatever the goal is. It's also about the duration of time and sticking with it over time. Okay, so this kind of ties into, delay of gratification, let's say. How much patience, if you will, do you have for seeing it through the long haul, whether that long haul is, a day, a week, a month, or years or decades, right? But where you've got that motivation to see something through and to get it out the door. Okay, so this obviously is a strength that we use when we are working, when we are students, but it's also a strength that we use in our relationships, okay? Because relationships can also be work, and they can also require effort, and they require overcoming hurdles and obstacles over the long haul, however long that is. And so the question is, how much do you bring of that strength of perseverance in your own life, okay? How much do you persevere through, let's say, the things that you want or the things that you dream about, okay? So the things also that, two aspects of perseverance, okay? Because it's like, all right, well, let's say I have a history of jumping from job to job, or I don't stick with things very long, or my relationships, I've had a whole bunch of them, and I don't know that I'm cut out for a long term, or I don't want to, assuming you want the end result of whatever it is you're defining, okay, perseverance is a strength that, we get to use in order to achieve those goals over the long haul, okay? So as I'm talking about this, maybe think about something you're trying to achieve now in whatever domain, whether it's work or school or personal or within yourself, or personal relationships, or your own relationship with yourself, that maybe you're hitting some roadblocks, some stumbling blocks, right? Or it's just something that isn't necessarily coming easily to you. Because if it comes easily to you, you don't necessarily need to, bump up that use of perseverance, because it's just kind of done, right? So this can also tie into, let's say, developing habits, okay? Now, when you start a habit, so let's say when you're a little kid and you're learning about, basic hygiene, it requires mindful effort to, let's say, remember to brush your teeth twice a day or whatever. And it needs to be over time, and then you eventually, hopefully, reach the success of having the habit of brushing and flossing your teeth twice a day, right? That's just like a small example, but it does require that kind of learning curve, right? And that personal growth and exercising that muscle of that habit. You have to use perseverance for it. You get to use perseverance for whatever it is you're doing. So thinking about what you're trying to persevere in, or thinking about maybe quitting, right? One way to, think about it is you've done hard stuff before. And even if you need to go as far back as when I was a baby, I learned to walk. And if you look at a baby learning how to walk, that's not easy. Fall down, fall down, fall down, up, up, up. Try again, stumble, crash. It's not easy. We take it for granted now. So I know that might seem like a silly example, but whatever your life situation is, you have muscle memory, literally, of using perseverance, even if the last time you can think of using it is when you were a baby, okay? Obviously, if, walking is not a good example in your situation, there's something else. If you take yourself from that baby state, you persevered in order to get to the next state, whatever that is for you, okay? So that's one thing. But the elements, I don't know if I already mentioned this, I'm going to say it anyways. The elements also that I wanted to bring up that contribute to the character strength of perseverance, two of them super important, is one, self-efficacy, and two, adaptability. Okay, so what is self-efficacy? It's basically believing in yourself that you can do it. Believing you have the ability to do whatever it is you're setting out to do. Because let's be honest, if you believe you can or you believe you can't, on that level, you're right. So we have to start with a belief that we can do it. And if believing 100% is out of the question for whatever reason, you're like, I'd like to believe it, then how about you just give yourself that space to say, I'm willing to make space for that idea that I can do it, even if I'm really not 100% convinced I can do it, but I'd like to do it and I want to see that through. That's a starting point for sure. You have to give yourself the space to be 50, 20, 30, 40, 50%, 60%, 70%. You don't have to be 100% yes, I know I can do this and therefore I shall start. If we had guaranteed outcomes with everything that we try or start, we wouldn't get much done, or it would stay small. Okay, so how much risk are you willing to assume in your own life, personally and professionally, to just try it, right? And part of building that sense of self-efficacy, that sense that, why, yes, I can, is failure. Is trying, falling, and then pulling yourself up again, trying it again. If you want it, right? Let's say it's a class and you don't really like this class, but it ties into a bigger picture for you, right? It ties into, let's say, a certificate or a diploma or a degree. You kind of suck it up as best you can because you want that outcome in the end, even if you have the pain, okay, the relative pain of dealing with a class you're not crazy about, because it gives you what you need as part of the bigger picture in order to achieve that goal, okay? And so you have to have that sense of I can, even if it's partial, we can bring a sense of curiosity about this. All right, I want that, so I'll figure it out. And that brings us, so self-efficacy, believing in yourself, believing you can do it, believing even if you don't have the skills or the traits or the talents or the resources, that you can figure out how to get those or how to learn it. So it's almost maybe you don't know in an objective, real world example that you can do it because you don't have a history of it, but if you know you can learn, if you know that you're motivated to figure it out, then that can bolster your belief in your ability to do it and get it done, right? Which leads to sticking with it over the long haul and through the obstacles, okay? And that leads to the other element that we get to play with here, which is adaptability, flexibility, reframing. How rigid are you in your thinking about this goal, right? How narrow is your vision of what it is you want to achieve in terms of how it can be achieved, the way it's going to look when you work on it. If you're coming with a place of like, well, it needs to be blinders on, this, and anything that diverts from that, it can't be done or whatever. And so having the adaptability mindset, the flexibility to, let's first of all, just like, you're going to have challenges. Life is problems. Life is full of them. Twists and turns. We cannot predict what is going to happen in this lovely, interesting world of ours next week, never mind 10 years from now, okay? So especially for those of you who are in school learning certain skills, or let's say in the workforce learning certain skills or getting trained, things that are relevant now may not be relevant sooner than we think, okay? Especially with the way technology is developing so fast, it's like, oh my God. So understanding that things are going to change. What you learn now may not be, in terms of like harder skills, right? May not be as applicable, okay? Things may change very quickly, but the ability to adapt, the ability to think of other ways or be open to learning other ways to tackle a problem, the ability to reframe, the ability to learn from mistakes, the ability to learn from failures, right? And the younger we can like experience failure and, pain on, lowercase p, okay? The sooner we learn we can deal with these things, these hardships that we have more to us maybe than we realize in the moment, okay? That we can move forward, we can, accomplish things, then the better we will be at handling the bigger challenges, which are inevitably going to come. They're not going to stop coming. Okay, so again, perseverance, not giving up, getting it out the door, accomplishing a goal, seeing it through, persisting. Okay, again, no guarantee of outcomes. No guarantees here. But if you want it bad enough and you go for it, who the heck knows what could open that you can't even imagine right now. But in order to start that journey, know that you have the ability, if not for the specific task at this moment, you have the ability to learn or to figure it out. Or guess what? Hire someone else to do that part that you're not so good at, right? Complement your own strengths and things that maybe you're not as strong in or you don't enjoy doing as much, right? Outsource, partner, right? Work with others. Okay, so perseverance is really key to any kind of, accomplishment, which is the A in PERMA that we talked about, in the way number 1 in your life. So if persistence and perseverance for you is, my grandmother, God bless her, is going to be 99 in a couple months. And when I speak to her and I'm like, how you doing, Grandma? And she's like, I got up today, didn't I? Like, that woman has persevered, she gets up. Obviously she's bringing humor and, into it as well. But did you get up today? And in your situation, was that hard? Then you persevered, to face another day. Okay? So again, what is your situation? What is it that you're working on? What is it that you want to achieve that you don't have, a guaranteed outcome, or you have challenges towards achieving? The flexibility, the ability to see the good in a situation, to reframe it for the good or the positive. And if that sounds a little too toxic, positivity, then how can you learn something from it? Where is the lesson in this? What is the universe? What is God trying to say to me through this experience? Because holy cow, I am being thrown for a loop here just when I thought things couldn't get any crazier, right? Just when I thought things couldn't get any harder, something else comes along. So, one of the hallmarks, or I wouldn't say hallmarks, but one of the qualities of perseverance is also not giving up. Okay, when it makes sense to give up, that's a different topic. Okay, but not giving up, even if that means I want to see how this story ends, right? I'm not going to give up on being curious about how things will unfold in this situation and doing my part to be involved in whatever, project you're working on, whatever stage of life you're in, whatever it is you are striving for. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try and reframe this. I'm going to be flexible here. Maybe my way isn't the only way, right? This is not a my way or the highway kind of thing. How flexible are you? How open are you to a different perspective, okay? How open are you to the possibility that what you're pursuing may end up being very, very different than what you imagined, or that it may not get you what you imagined, okay? So that's more like a little bit with goals and values and things, which is a separate topic. But for now, perseverance, okay? Perseverance is that effort, that getting it done, okay? It's not just checking off the box, but it's accomplishing that goal that you have, and it's sustaining it over time, that effort over time, that persevering over time. So when we have obstacles, okay, we come across a stumbling block or a wall or whatever imagery you like to think about when it comes to challenges. And with the one that I asked you to think about for what you have going on right now. So sure, you might be tempted to give up, but have you given yourself the time and the space to kind of put it in a corner and just think about it, and then maybe come back to it and you see a different way to tackle it, or a different way of viewing it or interpreting it or seeing it, right? Instead of a wall, can you open a door? Is it possible that the wall you see actually ends right here? Right, with my backdrop, right, right here. So even though I'm banging my head against it, oh wait, oh what? Ooh, I didn't even turn my head, right? I didn't even look, and I can just step around it. But maybe there's some fear or insecurity around what that will feel like and what that will mean for you, and how much of that is ego. How much of that is the need to be right? How much of that is not being okay with the idea of making a mistake? How much of that is tied to I don't want to look like an idiot? If there's one thing I hope you guys take from, these messages is I'm willing to look a little bit like an idiot. For me, I am going to persevere through this video series with all the snafus, with all the blah, 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 with whatever, because my vision ultimately is greater than the pain or the fear of looking, like an idiot, or having people look at this and not respond, favorably, or being this doesn't resonate for me. And that is okay. So with whatever is important to you, are you willing to deal with the challenges that will come with it? Are you willing to almost step out of yourself, step out of your own ego limitations of what you think has to be for whatever reason, to try something new? That's about the flexibility, the adaptability. Now, as parents, or if you're a teacher, or if you're someone who just works with kids or whatever, the more practice, they can have, again, stumbling, failing, within reason, okay? The more practice they have, the younger they have it at. Within reason, I'm not talking about don't give someone the support if they need it, but it doesn't mean you do the homework for them. It doesn't mean you do the project for them, right? It doesn't mean you're going to always go in and talk to the teacher because anything less than an A+++ is unacceptable. That's a values thing, and okay, but as far as if the goal of parenting is to raise independent adults, okay, for kids who are, able to, go out and contribute in, let's say, the workplace, okay, I understand not everyone is going to have that path. But for those who are going to have that path of, let's say, contributing to society through a job, okay, or are going to live independently. And again, I recognize that there are those who will not be able to live independently, okay? How can we support, if you work with a population like that or have that in your family, how can you support them to be within their abilities, persevering in their goals, wherever those are at? Okay? So I'm not going to speak to that in terms of like letting them fail and all that, because that's not something I can speak to. But for, let's say, neurotypical kids who are on that path towards ultimately going to a trade school or graduating high school and entering the workforce, or going to college and entering the workforce, or whatever, the more we can let them figure out that they have that ability to figure things out, and also that a failure is not the end of the world, right? To bounce back from something that didn't work out. That's a gift in perseverance, okay? In resilience that we can give them, because I promise you, if they don't have that experience before they get to whatever's next and they leave the house, they will have it then. And the question is, how ready are they for it? Okay? So in the spirit of having truly great lives, wherever we are at, and however that looks for us, again, that formula I shared in video 1 from the field of positive psychology, PERMA, positive emotions, engagement, perseverance is a key, contributor to engagement, right? Being able to be engaged in your work. Well, if I have that goal and I want that, I will work hard and get through the challenges in order to pursue it, whatever the outcome is, because I have no guarantees. Okay? And then relationships, I don't even know what the divorce rate is at this point. And obviously there are many good reasons for people not to be or stay in marriages. But for those who are in healthy enough relationships, right? You got to persevere. You got to be willing to be flexible. First of all, you have to want it, right? You have to want a longer term relationship. I'm talking about committed longer term relationships. You have to want it. If you don't want it, that's fine. But if you do want it, don't expect it's going to be easy just because you found the person you want to spend the rest of your life with or the next chapter with. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But if you know that you are able to be in relationship, and this talks also to, I think it was way number 3, love, okay? Which is giving love and receiving love, right? And if you know that is something you know how to do, or as I mentioned earlier, you are open to learning how to do it, okay? You're open to learning how to be a loving person and to be a receiver of love from others. So let's say for whatever reason, those are not things you feel like you can actually do for whatever reason, but you're like, you know what, I know there are support people out there I can learn from, there are programs out there are books, like I'll figure this out because it's important enough to me for that end goal of being with this person that I love and I want to be with. All right, so that contributes relationship-wise, let's say, to perseverance, and then of course adaptability and flexibility. Because usually the whole my way or the highway doesn't work so much in relationships, am I right? So that's just one example. I know I'm kind of all over the place. Well, achievement. All right. Meaning, super important. When you have that sense of being connected to something greater to yourself, or there's a meaning to the work that you're doing, the project you're doing, the task you're doing, the degree you're doing, the work you're doing, the relationship you're in, then you have more motivation to stick with it and to persevere, to persist, and to figure out how to do it and to deal with the challenges, because you want that end goal. If you don't want the end goal, you're not going to stick with it. You're not going to persist in it, and that's okay. So, and then the last thing is achievement or accomplishment. Obviously, the character strength here of perseverance is a critical one, right? To achieving whatever that goal is, right? For succeeding in that goal that you have. You will achieve it by using perseverance if it's a big enough goal. If you make it a little itty bitty goal that for you, wherever you're at, is like, well, that took no effort at all, that was easy, I would ask you, is that really an achievement or an accomplishment? And maybe for the state that you're in that particular day, well, yes, it is. I have a notepad from a friend, right here, actually, from like 20 years ago, which I love. I don't know if you can see this. If you can't, I'll read it to you. Cleaned under the beds today. As it turns out, I'm a queen of a whole freaking lot. Yay me. So you know what? Maybe that's your, perseverance for the day. I cleaned under the beds. That is not my day. But in any case, I hope this is helpful. I hope this is like a useful, way to think about perseverance. It's not just about school. It's not just about your work. It's not just about, oh man, if we were to go into like the whole health and body thing, which, the weight loss industry, okay, I'm not even going to go there, but perseverance, as you can see, it is a muscle that you have. And so think about where that is for you, on like how high of a strength is that for you? Are you someone who, whatever you set your mind to, you get done? So this is kind of like a nice reminder, but not really helpful. Are you someone who struggles with getting things done? Are you someone who thinks of yourself as like, I'm a quitter. Oh, I don't stick with anything. Well, just dial it back. Go back. When did you last persevere in doing something? And just own it. And then think about what matters to you now. What is a goal that you would like to accomplish now? Or, given that, life, what is a goal that you need to accomplish now? I'm sorry, we got to get it done. There's no avoiding it. Okay? And then how can you bring that, sense of, well, I will figure out how to do it, because that end goal is important. And I will be flexible with the challenges that, as painful as it is, I know we're going to come up. And instead of seeing these big boulders, I will see them as stepping stones. Okay? So think about what that is for you. And I just wanted to... Okay, I was just looking at my notes. So the other thing I wanted to say is, there are a ton of quotes and sayings and wisdom about this concept of, not giving up and persisting and perseverance. And so one thing that might be helpful is to have those reminders by your side today when you go out and use your strength of, perseverance in whatever it is, right? Just to remind you, this is something that you have and you get to play. I like to play, so I'll use that term, play around with engaging, persisting, overcoming obstacles, figuring things out, and remember the end goal. Remember your why. Simon Sinek, right? What's your why? And it might be a little lowercase y for today. Well, I have to get this done because it's due and XYZ versus the big why of I'm going for this, big goal, big whatever accomplishment that you're aiming for. And so tying to that, but it's chop it up also into the short term as well as the long term. Think about what you're willing to sacrifice in terms of that delay of gratification, which sometimes we need to do in order to see something through. We're more motivated to delay gratification when we're really connected to what it is we're going for. Okay. You will persevere with more joy, I will argue, if you really care about that final outcome you're going for. So spend some time thinking about how much am I giving of my energy and my effort and my time to things I don't really care about. And that at the end of the day don't really matter. Or don't live up to what I'm actually interested in. Or don't align with my values. So there may be some readjusting that you get to do as a result of thinking about it in these ways. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day. It's so easy to get caught up in that hamster wheel of this, my to-do list. I just have to get it done. And yay, I feel great about checking that all off. But wait a minute, did you persevere in the stuff that really matters for you? Right? It's the Eisenhower matrix. If you're familiar with Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So I don't have a picture of it, but you've got the different quadrants and it's urgent and important, urgent and not important, not urgent, and not important but urgent. You see where I'm going with that, and that you can find easily online, and you can kind of, if you want to look at your day or your week through that lens of that, it's called the Eisenhower matrix. Okay, and Franklin Covey, they use it as quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, and then be okay, so how many of these things that I have in these quadrants actually tie to something that is meaningful for me that I have to persevere in, and I'm willing to do it because it matters versus this is all stuff that maybe I can just delegate or maybe I can let go of. Okay. But where there's a will, there's a way. I believe that is true. Just be ready that the way may take longer than your patience holds out for? And do you have the will to do what needs to be done to get to where you want to go? To figure out, and it might be there are 10 different ways, right? Or 70 different ways to where you want to go, okay? So the last thing I'll do is share with you what I'm wearing. This t-shirt I just got. I loved it. It popped up, I think, on Facebook. So again, songs are fabulous for helping us get in that state of mind. So sing with me. Don't stop me now, Queen. Awesome. This is a Venn diagram in case you can't see this. And so in the middle you have don't stop. So that don't stop me now. And then don't stop believing. Okay. And then third one, no, I'm not singing correctly. Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Okay. So I would add one more if you want. There's so many, but it could be like, don't stop till you get enough. So, just this idea of like, don't give up. But again, it needs to be something that you feel in some way is going to contribute to your truly great life. That is the whole purpose of these videos. Like, how am I inching towards happy? How am I inching towards well-being? How is this going to bring me closer to what I really want? How is this going to help me have a better life? Okay? So don't give up. Go start a, song list. But that's it. I hope, and then another song for when you do hit those obstacles. Okay, this is a fabulous song. You pick yourself up. I'll sing it. Pick yourself up. Dust yourself off, start all over again, right? It's like the theme song of perseverance. Well, there's actually a lot more, but in any case, I hope that gave you a little bit of inspiration to go find your own songs that resonate for you to help you persevere in whatever it is you're going for, and see you on the next one for way number 6.